when you pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head.
And here we go.
And it is no good. He missed it. Are you kidding me? The season can't end like that.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms. Bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Welcome everybody to Tuesday's edition of the program. I am your host, Tyler Falk. Glad you could join us on a Tuesday evening from wherever you might be here in this great big wild world of ours. Today, I got two special guests. Both play for San Jose, but both have two very interesting lives outside the league, and they've got a couple of things they want to say today. So, first off, I want to welcome both my gentlemen, Kristian Aleixo and Adam Chance. Kristian is a test driver for Moretti Autosport, looking to make an appearance in the Indy 500 later in a couple of months. He's also a published author, and he does a whole lot of stuff. He's the U.S. events coordinator for World Pro Racing as well. Kristian, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Tyler. Good to be here, and good to chat SFL things on a Monday night. Best way to start the week, right?
Absolutely. And I want to also welcome my second guest of the evening, Adam Chance. For those of you that recognize the name, of course, he is from the a cappella group Home Free. Adam, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks, Tyler, for having me. Yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you, as always. All right, Kristian, let's start with you. You were on Axel's show a little while ago, but for everyone who wasn't there to listen to Axel's show, go ahead and give us a brief introduction to yourself.
Sure. So my name is Kristian Aleixo. I'm originally from Washington State, born in Seattle, and raised in Tacoma. As you mentioned earlier, I am the current test driver right now, signed to Moretti Autosport. Small IndyCar team, but we're putting things together day by day. Our new Spirit of Speedway concept should be cool, and looking to hopefully debut that next month, here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And beyond that, I am the U.S. events coordinator for World Pro Racing, so big on esports, big on the virtual sim world as well. I am a published author too. I've written an autobiography, My Life and Story, The Outside Groove, forwarded by the legendary Willie T. Ribbs, who of course was the first African-American to drive the Indy 500 and a good buddy of mine now. I have also written a children's book with the 1998 IndyCar Rookie of the Year, Robbie Unser, called Faster and Faster, a children's guide to motorsport, and those can all be found on Amazon, Walmart.com, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Kodo, and other fine retailers. Aside from that, I am a U.S. Army war veteran, served in Iraq, and I have a foundation for children who are looking to become pro athletes despite their disabilities, and it's called CAPE Ability. CAPE, though, as in reference to a superhero, because I want kids to recognize the superhero in themselves, and that's what we're all about. So that's me.
That's awesome, Kristian. And from one vet to another, thank you for your service, especially in one of our country's greatest conflicts in recent memory. So again, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you as well.
All right, and on to Adam. Well, Adam, you're one of the biggest names in acapella, as you're with the outstanding group that was on a couple of shows. Of course, you joined after that, but you were with a different group before you joined Home Free. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, we were on the Sing Off. It's a It's a show that aired for 6 or 7 years, starting back in like 2009, 2010. I was on the second season with a group called Street Corner Symphony, and we were runners up on that show, which kind of was not something I ever envisioned because I never did a cappella. So I kind of got pulled into that world. I always did music growing up, and Tyler and I were just talking about this before the show here, that we're both former band geeks, and that's what got me into music. And I started playing guitar and writing songs and stuff, and never envisioned the a cappella thing until I got a random phone call one day. That's a story for another day. But long story short, Street Corner runners up on the sing off. A few years later, the band that I'm currently in, Home Free, won the show, and one of their members was looking to do some other stuff, so they called me, and I've been touring with those guys, and they're like my family now, for about 6 years, 7 years maybe. Time flies; it's hard to keep up, but yeah, we're about to start our Canadian tour in a couple of weeks, and I always stress this: I'm nowhere near as cool as Kristian, so I should always start these things for sure.
Well, maybe next time you're on the show, we'll go in that direction. Why not? And
Sounds good.
And both you gentlemen are extremely busy, and so for you guys to come to me and say, "Hey, I don't want to introduce both of us to the league and get our names out there as new members of the SFL, but you guys want to continue to compound things, and you guys want a team of your own." So, Kristian, tell us a little bit about the team, what you guys are trying to develop, what kind of team you're looking for as one of the new one of the 4 new teams in the SFL.
Yeah, I think that we got lucky, really, coming to the league at this time. We could have joined, I guess, at any point in time, but for some reason we joined when we did. And I've been fortunate that Adam and I have joined the same team, so we were able to get to connect as well. And then expansion was on the table. That was announced, and I thought to myself, because I was talking to him, and I said, to be honest, I didn't necessarily come here to be a player when I first joined. I initially had ownership in mind. That's what intrigued me. And he said, "No way, get out of my head." I was thinking the same thing. I also wanted to be an owner, and with that and expansion being on the table, we were like, "What a fortunate time, man!" We just happened to come in at the right time to do that, and we started putting together this idea. And we initially each had our own separate ideas for where we wanted to put a franchise and what we wanted to do with it. It wasn't until a very cool opportunity kind of fell into our lap through some of the relationships and connections I've been able to develop, that we started to build a team more so around the opportunity and what it can do for the SFL. And when all of that was said and done, when the dust settled and the smoke finally cleared, what we had in front of us was the Canton Classics. That is the name of our organization. We want to bring a team to Canton, Ohio. So much football history there, but even more so than the football history, I think the time is now for moving into the Midwest market. Everybody's been clamoring about it in the Gen Chat. I see people always talking about, I want to get one in Wisconsin. I want to get one in Indiana. I want to get one over here in Kentucky. I want one over there. There seems to be a ton of people who want something in the Midwest. And although Ohio is not, those, it is still the Midwest. And I think we would still be able to represent everything well. But again, like I said, it's mostly around the opportunity. That's why you're going to want to vote for this team specifically.
The Canton Classics. I get that right there, Kristian?
You got it. You got it. It's the Canton Classics.
There we go. It sounds like a fantastic idea, fantastic team. Adam, let's go to you real quick. The Canton Classics. Tell us a little bit more about maybe the color scheme you've got for these classics.
Well, Kristian and I are very in-depth guys. We have a very similar and like-minded approach to things. So everything that we did with the team, we wanted to have a reason for it. Like there's nothing wrong with people not doing that. That's just definitely our approach. We love to have symbolism and a background. And the name Classics is where it starts because, I mean, the definition of that term is, is perfect for what we want our team to stand for. It's timeless and enduring, and those are kind of the qualities we wanted to start with. But we also used the history of Canton and its football as part of our motivation too. The Canton Bulldogs were, one of the first professional teams over there. So we've adopted a bulldog mascot, and we've named him Mac, named after former President McKinley, who was a native of Canton. And the color scheme goes right in line with all of that stuff. Gold for the Hall of Fame jackets, and the red and blue for not only the Ohio State flag, but the red also. The Merlot is kind of a throwback to the old Bulldogs team.
So a little bit of everything, not just when you're thinking classics. A lot of Americans are thinking, oh, it's just the side of the Hall of Fame. But you brought up a good point that it's the home of the Bulldogs, right? It's the home of the very legendary. It'll start legendary in the form because it's one of the first, right? Like you had mentioned.
Absolutely.
Adam, let's stick with you, Adam, and let's go to my next question for you guys. Being in a high demand, cutthroat profession, being a singer, having to continually modernize, continue to develop your songs, continue to create different masterpieces. From your experience as a singer and from your entire background, how are you looking to utilize your talents in an SFL ownership capacity?
Well, owning my own business in the music industry, me and my bandmates were all partners in owning the band and the property that we take around the world. You learn a lot of that business sense that goes into the music industry, outside of the artistry of it, and it's what we've tried to do is build a family-like mentality, and that extends to our team behind the scenes as well, and that means our agents and our managers, and they've all become really good friends of ours, and we have this great network of people. And on top of that, we're always looking for other opportunities. We're musicians first, and that's our priority. That's what we love to do. But we're always looking to branch out and be a part of anything that we can that sounds fun or helps grow the business. And that whole mentality is kind of one of the things that I love about the SFL, because I came here for the camaraderie and the fun of the league that's already there. And one of the reasons that we wanted to get into ownership is for that, but also because we want to help the league and grow it in a healthy way. And I think I've learned a lot in my career, but I also have a lot of assets just from my extended team. And I plan to get some of those folks on board, because I know once we're doing this thing, a lot of them are going to be really excited about it. So from a business standpoint, that's it. But again, I think it kind of comes down mostly to that family mentality that we keep with our team, because that feels like it fits right in here. That's part of the fun, is just being part of the team, being in the locker room, joking around with the other team members and owners and stuff like that. That's all part of the fun. So there's a lot of parallels. You wouldn't think so, but I'm learning more and more every day that there's a lot of parallels between the league here and in some ways what I do.
Absolutely. And Kristian, you race at the pinnacle of American open wheel auto sports, and there's a lot of high intensity and just you have to be on point throughout your entire race, or even just practice for that regard, because we see so many crashes. I just was looking at your Facebook earlier, and even though it's a simulated experience, that crash you had about 2 weeks ago, I wonder how you were feeling in the cockpit. But how are you going to use the intensity of IndyCar for the Canton Classics?
Well, obviously, you need to be a competitive individual. I think that's kind of where it starts. That drive, that desire, that want to be the very best that you can possibly be. That's definitely something that I'm going to be bringing to the locker room. I want guys around me who want to see this thing succeed, and are willing to stop at just about nothing to get there, because that's exactly how we are at the shop every day. If I could show you guys just what the data sessions are like when we're doing the testing, I'll get into the sim and I'll do 500 miles or whatever, right? And obviously my goal is to match our main driver's target time every single lap. So I've got to be just as quick as he is. I got to be just as sharp as he is, and we're tweaking things and we're going, it's so meticulous. It's so detail oriented and we're looking for tenths. That's exactly what I want to bring to the football field. I want to be the team that looks for tenths. We have something, it's good, it's solid, that's great. Can we make it a little bit better? Can we get a little bit faster? Can we squeeze a little bit more out of that? Can we come up with a different game plan, something that works long haul, short haul? In the race, we're coming up with we're with the engineers and we're talking about game plans, right? We've got a plan for every situation. Caution comes out on lap 2. We've got a plan for that. Caution comes out on lap 20. We got a plan for that. Caution comes out whatever lap you name, we've got a plan for it. And that's exactly what I want to bring to my team here. And then beyond that, I think more so what helps me out is the relationships. It's more so the relationships that I've been lucky to cultivate through racing that I think are going to help our experience in the SFL. I mentioned that opportunity that came to our doorstep and that we built the team around. That all happened because of racing. So my agent, I am the only race car driver in his stable, on his roster. Everybody else is an NFL player. And so when I mentioned to him, and we weren't even talking about business at this point, I was just mentioning the SFL. I'm in this new thing. It's really, really cool. It's a lot of fun. These guys are all great. We just had our first game, yada, yada, yada. He says, okay, I think I have a way to where we can move that forward if you wanted to. I said, sure. He introduced me to some people. It snowballs. Next thing you know, I'm on the phone with somebody from the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And funnily enough, that person had just got off of a phone call 30 minutes prior to my call with them, with Robert Kraft, and they were talking about all the esports entities that he's buying up. So these guys already had esports on the brain. I didn't have to explain too much to them, which was fantastic. It was a very easy transition into that conversation. We get to talking about the SFL, and they're like, well, what do you want to do with it here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame? First thing that came to mind was, I would love it if the SFL was able to move its Hall of Fame ceremonies to the actual Hall of Fame. And they must have liked me because they didn't kick me out of the meeting. They didn't push me away. They didn't give me any pushback, really. They were like, yeah, we can facilitate that. And that's when we started to build the team around what they had going on, because this is now an opportunity for the SFL to move out of the virtual world and more into the real world, at the actual Pro Football Hall of Fame. We have Hall of Famers in the league now. And that kind of lives in that virtual space, which is really, really cool and really, really nice. But I think it makes an unforgettable experience to be able to receive an actual golden jacket, a ring maybe, whatever it is that we're doing with the ceremony on those hallowed grounds, among your Jerry Rices, your Barry Sanders, your Joe Namaths, your Dan Marinos, your Joe Montanas, your Calvin Johnsons. You get to experience what that is in real life. And that's what I've been able to do with my relationships with racing. So I look forward to more of that. Yeah. And of course, with the stuff that I've got going on with World Pro Racing, that led to the SFL's new deal with ESTV as well. So I'm not just saying this stuff to say it. We could actually make these things happen.
To rub shoulders with the likes of, like you said, Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, with some of our own greats, Matt Wilson, BDG Hollywood, and many more or others. Eddie Gage, I'm remiss to say that, but there's so many of our fantastic people that, again, just to be able to do that, to be able on those steps, those same steps that where Moss gives his Hall of Fame speech, where John Madden gives his Hall of Fame speech. That would be absolutely incredible and something to look forward to. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and skip a question I had for you guys. We're going to move on to this one here. And you guys are two incredible people outside the league. Like I said, Aleixo, you're a pro race car driver. Adam, you're an incredible singer. But there are some in the league, owners, players, that may feel a certain way, that you may have not paid your dues, as some coaches, some owners want to see previous coaching experience in the league before you guys go ahead and take ownership roles. To those individuals, Kristian, will stick with you for this first go around at it. But to those individuals who might have some doubts, what do you say to them?
I say that's why you got 4 votes. That's what I'd say to that. We are lucky in that, from what I understand, there hasn't been 4 expansion teams joining since season 5 here of the SFL. So a very long time ago. It's been 1 or 2 trickle in every time it comes up, and that puts the owners in a tricky situation, right? You've only got 1 team coming in. You've only got 2 teams coming in. You want to make sure that you're giving those guys who have that tenure, those votes. What I think is cool about having 4 is that you could do 3 of your tenured votes. You could do 3 of the guys who have had the coaching experience, because I would never take that away from them. They've been here, they put in that time, and that is very much well deserved. And I do hope that they get those teams. But because we have such a large number, I say throw a wild card in there. And not just any wild card, a wild card that moves the business of the SFL forward. What we were able to do with the ESTV thing is it's kind of the tip of the iceberg, really. I wanted to make sure that we got that out first before we announced what our team was, because I was thinking to myself, I said to Adam, that's probably going to be one of our challenges. Guys are going to be like, we have no idea who you are. You're completely new here. How do we know you're not just talking? I said, okay, let's drop the ESTV thing first. Hopefully that'll give us some credibility. They know now we're not just talking. And that's what we're about. We're about moving the chains business-wise. So throw us the wild card. So those owners who doubt and those owners who are skeptical about it, we do plan on putting the right people in the right places. Please do not think that we are going to be the coaches of this team. We are very much well aware that we are not at that level to be doing that. We know our roles. We stay in our lanes. Our lanes is the business side of it, which is what an owner's supposed to do. So we're going to go out and we're going to get the right staff, but you got the right people. Now let's move this thing forward business wise. That's what we can do.
Absolutely. And I'll ask you the same question to the fans, to the teams that have existed since the beginning, like the Queen City Corsairs, originally the New York Knights, like Arizona, who originally was OKC back in the day, to those type of people that may or may not be on the fence about you guys. What say you?
I mean, Kristian said a lot of great things there that I 100% agree with. I totally get it. We're coming in here. We're really a lot fresher than a lot of people here. But I would say any of the skeptics, like, you're not sure about us, like, talk to us, come, like, get to know us, like, and if you walk away still unsure, then that's totally fair, because we are a little bit newer here, and we've seen these guys. We've seen, like, in our time here, I've already noticed, the respect that some of these guys have, and I want some of these guys already. I'm already cheering for some of these guys to get their bits. Like, there's people who put in the time and are well respected here, and I'm cheering them on. But I would just encourage anybody to come get to know us. I get it. You listen to Kristian, you're like, that guy. I don't know about that guy, because I say the same thing. But you got to trust me, he's a good dude. But seriously, just come get to know us a little bit. But like Kristian also said, we know what we're good at, and we know why we were here in the first place and what we're excited about. And we also want to give those people opportunities too, not just with the other 3 bids, hopefully, but in our staff as well. Like, we want to hire those people who maybe didn't want to be owners, but are interested in coaching, and let them run the show, because that's really, like he said, we know that's not our role. Not yet, at least. Maybe down the line, that would be fun. But for the time being, we want to do what we can in our own way.
And you both brought up the point that you guys are going to be the owners. You guys are going to run the business side. So let's talk more in depth of what you're looking for in those coaches, that front office staff, those general managers, those head coaches. Adam, what are you looking for the Classics?
I think first and most importantly is finding people who enjoy being around each other and fit well together, and we don't want any toxic relationships. I mean, obviously, like, you don't see that stuff often here, hopefully, and from what I've heard, it I mean, that stuff exists everywhere that people are, we know, but like, we just want people who are there to have a good time like us. And, any kind of background, we want to be very inclusive. Like, it doesn't matter where you came from or what you're doing. If you have fun here and you feel serious about this, then we want you in the locker room. But to the extent of strategy, we kind of want to trust the people to come in. Like, I was telling Christian this earlier today. I was like, I miss the days of the NFL that are kind of dying out, of like the power running game and the slow paced, like, possession style based offenses that you still see in college to some extent, which is also, it's kind of dying there too, to be honest. But I miss those days, and it'd be fun to implement something like that. But like, that's not going to be my choice. If we get a coach who wants the heavy passing game or a good balanced offense, like, that's the way we're going to go. Or if we draft like the best quarterback in the league, in the draft, then that's the way it's going to go. And again, I just want to stress that it's going to be up to whoever we can put in place that we trust. I think I said this in Axel's interview, but from my experience with my business and the people that we've worked with, I'd rather have a B+ person at their job that's an A+ person to be around than the A+ person at their job that's, the jerk to work with. You know what I mean? We just want to have fun with everybody. And we want to have a good time. We want to win. But I think that'll follow if we put the right people in the right places.
Absolutely. And it seems like both you and Kristian are on the same page in a lot of things. So Kristian, am I going to hear something similar for you on what you're looking for the classics, or do we have something, maybe a more in-depth approach that you're looking for?
No, you're not going to get the same thing from me. I want death. I want assault. That's the coach I want. The guy who's out here to just kill the others. I'm kidding, of course.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah,
That's our role here. Yeah.
No. Totally joking. No, I do echo a lot of what Adam said. We've discussed that a lot. We understand that culture is probably the biggest. It's the spinal cord of the operation, right? It's the culture. It's what you breathe in. It's what you breathe out. It's what you do every single day in that locker room. We want to create a positive environment. We want our coaches to be positive people. We want an organization where we don't talk bad about one another. It's not like the game went one way and then I'm over here talking bad about our DC or our OC to somebody, like, oh, I wish he would do this, or he doesn't listen, or he's not good at his job. That's not what we want. This is a culture of figuring things out. Something I always say is that, when have you ever seen a door that did not come built with a way to open it? Never. It's either got a knob, it's got a handle, it's got a push bar, you can revolve it. Either way, there is a way to open doors, meaning everything in life, there is a solution for it. It may not be obvious. It may not come to you today. It may not come to you tomorrow, but I promise you, there is a solution to every single door in your life. And that is the exact same way I want to run this locker room. There is a door and an opening to that door to every single problem we run into. I want a coach who believes that. I want a coach who breathes that. I want a coach who knows that we just have to find it. We just have to find it. That's all. That's all we have to do. And the more time we can spend looking at things, the more time we can come together. We are definitely open to suggestions. If I had a player come up to me and he's like, hey, I've been playing APF off to the side, aside from our team, and I'm noticing that when I do this and I run this scheme and I run that, it locks the offense down. I think maybe we should implement that. I am not going to kick you out of the office and say, you're just a player, get out of here. I would never. If anything, come in, sit, talk more. Do you have a chalkboard? Can you draw up what you're talking about? I want to see it. And then let's take that together to the coaches and let's go over it there, man. That's what I want, a team of people who are constantly looking for solutions.
Yeah, I think you and I both kind of look at this the same way. We want to work as a team and have a good time. Like, we're all here to work together, and why not do it in a way that is not just strategically the right approach, but just a good time.
Good points from both of you there. All right. I introduced this segment back when I introduced and interviewed JT Delaney a week ago. So, gentlemen, it's time for questions, comments, concerns. Both of you get about 30 seconds to 5 minutes. You guys can ask me questions. You guys can comment on the league, your team, San Jose. You can talk about Canton a little bit more if you want to, or if you have some concerns about what you see in any of those regards. So, Adam, we'll start with you, and then we'll do Kristian second. So, Adam, questions, comments, or concerns?
All right, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
If you could change one thing about the SFL, what would it be?
Oh, I've said this earlier on a much earlier show, but the one thing I would implement is an extended injury period. Now, what I mean by that is every time a player currently gets injured in the league, they come back the very next game. There's no timetable. The in-game injuries, if they're out for 14 weeks, they're just out for the game. That's just how the league has adopted. That's in the owners' agreements for the league to run that way. I would like to see injuries make a much more prevalent role. That way, it's more realistic to professional football IRL. I think it adds a whole new layer to, you have to have depth. And with the league continuing to try and expand rosters to from 20 to 23 a season ago, and the league's only going to get bigger, and there's only going to be more and more opportunities for more depth. And we see in Louisiana, there's 2 running backs, Colin Hart and his counterpart. That name shouldn't escape me, but does for some reason, because he's on my own team. So Louisiana's giving me some hard time in the locker room later. But a 2-back system, or having added depth to a roster, I think really comes into play and comes into strategy and how teams game plan for games. So that's what I would add to future seasons of the SFL, is a extended injury period. Maybe not for the full 14 weeks we say for maybe a broken collarbone, but we only have a 12-game season at present. So maybe if it were to be maybe a 10-game injury, maybe we see that person out for 2 to 3 games. That way it's time for them to heal simulatedly, but it also adds another aspect to game planning.
Yeah, I've seen this talked about a lot in the general chat at some point. I know it was a big point of discussion one of those days that I was in there. But I totally get it. I do love the realism of that too, but I get both sides of it, But that's cool to know, because I think I would enjoy that from a realistic standpoint and a depth standpoint. So I get you.
Yeah. Anything else you got for me, Adam?
No, I would just like to also say that I'm grateful for everybody that has been so helpful to us so far, and whether that just be to help us learn the ins and outs, or just to have a fun chat. So I just am thankful. Want to say just shout out to everybody that I've kind of gotten to know around here already, and can't wait to do a lot more of that as time goes along.
Thank you, Adam. All right, Kristian, over to you now. Questions, comments, concerns. What you got for me?
Well, first off, Adam's just selfish, isn't he? He started with a question and then also gave a comment. It's one or the other, man.
He takes any opportunity he can to just talk trash to me. This is my show now. This is my show.
Right.
So this show belongs to me.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding, of course, man. Well, actually, Adam took the question basically right out of my mouth. So I'll go with my plan B question to you, Tyler, because I'm really curious to hear it from the people who have been around for a lot longer than we have. What is your favorite thing about the ownership of your current team?
Oh, man. Well, let's talk about Gerald Smith, right? He's the original owner of this current iteration of the Louisiana franchise. And the general manager, now part owner, Ross Napoli. 2 fantastic guys, right? I've been on San Diego's roster. That was my rookie season. I was number 1 overall pick back in season 16 to the Mavericks. Unfortunately, it wasn't a good season. Unfortunately, some things happened, but I wish all of them the best going forward. They've had a couple of good wins earlier on in this season. Unfortunately for them, they've fallen by the wayside and unfortunately lost to Portland this past weekend. But no, the Maverick ownership in comparison to Louisiana ownership from when I left it is night and day. It's literally night and day. Ross even before I left San Diego, we were in contact, just talking to one another, and we would spend maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, just chatting about where I saw myself going as far as making content, bringing NETMA to the airwaves, being a broadcaster, doing things for the team, being a coach. I'm currently the offensive coordinator for the Lincoln Rattlesnakes in the minor leagues, and that's something I'd like to pursue, and maybe a couple other front office positions that we've been talking about recently. But the thing that I think really demonstrates the impact of ownership is Ross and Gerald take the time to get to know you. They take the time to understand what you're doing, how they can help, how we can work things out, not just in the SFL context, but how we can be teammates, friends, IRL, right? And that's the thing. You guys perfectly encapsulate what I hope all ownership groups are looking for, and that's family, that's camaraderie, that's a tight-knit group that's going to stand by each other through thick and thin and go to war for each other, not just for the SFL, but for in real life as well. And I think Ross and Gerald are two of the best guys that do it. Another quick shout out is to Destro over in DC. He does a fantastic job. I've heard so many good things from his players that just continue to talk him up. And what the entire front office staff does in DC is they go to war. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into making everything as best they can over in DC. So two good examples of leadership.
I love that too, because I'm probably going to say similar things here, but we want to do the same thing. Like if somebody's had a bad day at work or something's going on in their real life and you want to talk about it, let's do that. We want a safe space for everybody. And I love that exists in the league. And I feel like I've gotten to talk to a lot of those people, and they kind of exude that hospitality and friendliness, and generosity. And I appreciate that too.
Absolutely. Kristian, you took a little bit more of your airtime again.
Let me speak for Kristian here. Let me talk to
him. I'm used to it by now. We go to Burger King. He orders for me. I'm like, all right, he'll have the nuggets. I'm like, oh, I don't want the nuggets, Adam.
I just want one nugget. Is why I do that.
So it's all good, man. No, but you were talking about war there, and it immediately reminded me that as somebody who's done it and survived actual war, all that stuff that you said is important. All of that stuff is just integral to getting through everything, man. Like Adam said, with the personal issues, if you've got one, don't be afraid to reach out and talk. We are a family. We are brothers and sisters in this. And in that regard, I'm going to treat this the same way it was in Iraq, and we're going to do our best to get everybody home in the best of mental health. It's so important. And yeah, toxicity will not be any part of our locker room. We are going to put that number one priority here at the Canton Classics.
Absolutely. Well, Kristian and Adam, you guys have been excellent. You guys are welcome back on the show at any time. Thanks once again for coming on to the program.
No, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much for having us. Yeah, man, absolutely.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for Tuesday's edition of the program. We hope to see you back here tomorrow for Top 10 and Power Rankings. So until then, everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
That's awesome. Really good.